And we're going to go ahead and get started. So I know things are starting to change and everyone's going back to work and the studios are starting to open again. And maybe you're finding yourself a little anxious or nervous about change. And I definitely am in that position right now. And just knowing that everyone's feeling different and everyone has a different suggestion or a different way that they want to live their lives during this process and during this quarantine. So we just have to remember to respect everyone's decisions, and no matter what they decide to do, we have to be kind and to honor what they choose. So you know what's best for you. We're going to go ahead and get started on our mats, focusing on clarity and kindness in our bodies today. We're going to come all the way down onto our shoulder blades in Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined butterfly pose. First, coming down onto the shoulder blades, bringing the soles of the feet together to kiss and letting the knees jet out in opposite directions. Maybe you're taking a break during your workday for this flow. Whatever it is, can you just be here? Can you forget about anything that happened before this moment? First, starting to bring your awareness to something outside of the yogashala. And yogashala is just a fancy way of saying where you're practicing, your sacred space. So bring your awareness to something outside of your space. What do you hear? I hear birds chirping and cars driving by. I hear the faint sound of my neighbor waking up and starting to listen to music, getting ready for his day. Now bring your awareness to something inside of the room. What do you hear? Maybe it's your air conditioning switching on and off. Maybe it's a slight ticker in your bedroom. Now can you bring your awareness to your breath and your body? Following the natural cadence of that breath and just simply noticing how it makes your belly rise and fall. Bringing awareness to your breath. Inhale, full belly breath, filling the belly, filling the lungs, letting the collarbone expand, holding this breath at the top of the throat, and then opening the mouth. Exhale, let that breath, let that day go. Another full breath. We inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs, let the collarbone expand, holding the breath at the top of the throat, and then opening the mouth, let that breath go. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs, let the chest rise. This time we're sealing our lips and letting the heat escape through both nostrils. Starting to dial into your Ujjayi pranayama, or your victorious breath. Starting to create that slight constriction in the back of your throat as if you're fogging up a glass or a mirror. As that Darth Vader sound starts to come from the back of the throat, can you set your awareness to your intention? Maybe that's something or someone that inspires you. Whatever it is, this thought back to focusing your awareness to your intention for your practice. Maybe that's the intention of letting go. Maybe that's the intention of working super hard and powerful for your body. Maybe it's a person that inspires you. Whatever it is, starting to hone in on that idea. Taking one more final Ujjayi breath together. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs. And then exhale, release. Starting to blink the eyes open here, maybe a slight gaze towards the nose. Bringing the palms on the outside of the thighs and then slowly closing our knees together like a book. Being kind to those hips this afternoon and then starting to create those low back circles. First starting with a clockwise motion, giving that low back some love. And then if it feels good, switching the directions to counterclockwise. Giving our Supta Baddha Konasana just a little bit of a break, we're coming back to Supta Baddha Konasana. So bringing the outside of both feet to press against the earth, seeing if you can press the heels closer to the perineum if it feels good. Bringing the palms together to clasp, giving ourselves the little love guns here. So bringing our index fingers to point. Here you have the option to keep the shoulder blades grounded, or if you're looking for a little bit more, maybe you start to lift the shoulder blades off the earth. Press the outside of the feet together here, and we're holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Can you lift the shoulder blades a little bit higher off the earth? Can you press down in the outside of the feet, holding for 3, 2, 1, releasing back down to that Supta Baddha Konasana just for a moment. Taking one full inhale here, releasing those love guns. And then exhale, releasing, maybe sinking a little bit deeper. On the next inhale, option to lift the shoulder blades off the earth, reach past and point past those knees. We're pulsing this time for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, holding at 1 for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees into the chest. Start to bring them together first and then in towards the chest, giving yourself a squeeze. And then starting to create rock and rolls up and down the spine. Giving our entire back a little massage here and creating enough momentum that we're landing in our high boat. So in this Navasana boat pose, maybe you bring the knees in towards the chest. Maybe you start to squeeze those thighs together and straighten the legs. If that feels good, maybe you start to open up your palms here, lifting the chest a little bit higher, finding the engagement in the core. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping to low boat, taking your time, low Navasana pose. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to high boat just for a moment. Yogis, you got this. You are strong. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crossing at the ankles and meeting in a neutral tabletop at the top of your mat. In this neutral tabletop pose, our wrists are directly underneath the shoulder blades, knees are underneath the hips. Untucking the toes, dropping the belly low, sending the gaze high, opening up the chest here. Exhale, ground down into the palms, round the spine, gazes to the navel, cat pose. Drop the belly low, finding some fluidity in these motions, gazes high to the sky, bolster your heart towards the stars. And then exhale, ground down into the palms, round the spine, gazes to the navel. One more cat-cow for good measure. Drop the belly low, send the tailbone high, open up the chest. And then exhale, ground down into the palms, round the spine, gazes to the navel. Inhale, coming back to neutral, paying attention to those architectural lines. Wrists directly underneath the shoulder blades, knees underneath the hips. Creating a super strong foundation for us here. We're tucking at the toes and then rising 2.5 inches off the earth. I want you to feel your strength in this pose. Pushing the earth away from you, finding a slight protraction in your shoulder blades, gazes in between the palms. You should feel the line of energy through palm to shoulder blade. Take a look at those knees. Make sure they are, in fact, 2.5 inches off the earth. We're holding in this lifted tabletop. If you'd like to run through a few cat-cows with me, you're more than welcome. Drop the belly low, send the gaze high, open up the chest with lifted knees. And then exhale, ground down into the palms, round the spine, protract in the shoulder blades, gazes to the navel. Last one, yogis, you got this. Drop the belly low, open up the chest, send the gaze high. And then exhale, ground down into the palms, round the spine, gazes to the navel. Option to drop down to the knees. If this is too much, we're holding for 3, 2, 1. Sending the hips high to the sky and the heels down towards the earth. Creating an inverted V shape here, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Our feet are about hips width distance apart. Our palms are a little bit wider than shoulder width distance. Grounding down into the base knuckle of the index finger and the thumb, sending the gaze in between the ankles to elongate the neck. Inhale, gaze is in between the palms. We walk, step, jump, hop, or float to the top of our mat. Inhale, halfway lift out of the Uttanasana, creating a number 7 with our spine. Plugging those shoulder blades into the back wall and slightly tucking the chin in towards the chest for that flat back. Imagine a perfect a perfect glass of wine or a perfect plate of food on your back, trying not to spill. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, release down, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, really reach with intention here. Gaze is in between the palms come to kiss. Maybe you take a slight back bend here. And then swan dive, leading with the chest, hinging at the hips, coming all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift out of the Uttanasana. Exhale, plant the palms, moving into our high plank. Just like that lifted tabletop, I want you to feel your strength in this high plank. Push the palms into the earth. Slightly protract your shoulder blades here. Gaze is in between the palms. Taking one full breath here. And then exhale, tucking those elbows in towards the ribs, lowering down to low plank. Holding here, inhale, fill the belly. Exhale, push the earth away from you, find that high plank. Tuck the elbows in towards the ribs, lower down, low plank. Exhale, push the earth away from you, high plank. Last one, yogis, you got this. Tuck the elbows in towards the ribs, lower all the way down, halfway. And then push the earth away from you, feel your strength coming into that high plank. Choosing your journey to your low cobra, tucking those elbows in towards the ribs, lowering all the way down. Untucking the toes here, and then finding Bhujangasana or low cobra. In this low cobra pose, maybe you start to bring the feet down towards the earth, press against the shoelace portion, and maybe the palms start to lift off the earth. Testing your strength here, sending the elbows to magnetize towards one another. Take one full inhale here. Exhale, plant the palms into the earth, roll over the toes, finding Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. In this downward facing dog, start to create some movement. Maybe you generously bend in both knees, getting nice and groovy. And then when you're ready, finding stillness in that inverted V shape. Taking one collective breath together as we inhale, both heels lift high to the sky. And then exhale, sink them deep into the earth. Gaze is in between the palms. We look, step, jump, hop, or float to the top of our mat. Inhale, halfway lift out of the Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, reach all the way up. Gaze is in between the palms. Maybe you take a slight back bend. And then exhale, swan dive, leading with the chest, hinging at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms. You flow, you grow. High to low plank, chaturanga, check in. Make sure you tuck those elbows in towards the ribs as you lower down. Upward facing dog this time, arcing the chest through. Planting the palms into the earth, sending the shoulders a little bit away from the ears and slightly tucking the chin in towards the chest. Taking one more breath in this upward facing dog. And then exhale, rolling over the toes, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. One more sun A to really get things nice and groovy. Gaze is in between the palms. You float, step, jump, hop, or float to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, reach all the way up, active listening. We're grabbing for the left wrist and then moving over towards the right side, grounding down into both heels, spiraling your chest towards the ceiling. Can you take one full inhale here? And then exhale, lengthen in the spine, sinking a little bit deeper. Inhale through center. Exhale, moving over towards the left side, opening up the chest, bolstering your heart towards the ceiling. Take one full inhale here. Exhale, maybe you start to sink a little bit deeper, grounding down into both heels. Through center. Exhale, swan dive, leading with the chest, hinging at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, high to low plank. Tucking those elbows in towards the ribs, lower down. Upward facing dog, pull the chest through. Exhale, downward facing dog. In this downward facing dog, bringing both feet together to touch at the back of your mat. I call this one zip up dog because your navel is in towards the spine, sending the gaze towards those toes, zipping everything up through that center line. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs. Exhale, release. Inhale, right foot lifts high to the sky, three-legged dog. Option to point the toe here, or maybe you find that slight inner rotation of the right toe squaring off the hips. Bending into this right knee and then starting to create those big circles here. First, moving clockwise, getting juicy in the synovial fluid of this right hip. And then maybe you switch the direction to counterclockwise. Finding a little bit of mobility in that hip. Inhale, right leg high to the sky. Exhale, right knee to nose, round the spine, crunch it in. Maybe you give that knee a kiss. Three-legged dog. Right knee to right elbow, make a connection, hold. We're sliding that knee down towards the wrist. And then inhale, shooting it back up, three-legged dog. Right knee to left elbow, cross-body hold. Inhale, three-legged dog. Right knee to nose, round the spine, crunch it in, plant the right foot in between the palms. Keeping the left palm grounded, opening up for that easy twist. In this easy twist, gazes to the right fingertips. Take one full inhale here. Exhale, goal posting in the arms, finding that opening in your chest. And then releasing back through center. Inhale, grounding down into this right foot. We're lifting up into a twisted lunge. In this twisted lunge, can you open up your wings a little bit wider? We're creating a right angle with this right knee. Take one full inhale here. Exhale, right palm comes behind you. Left palm paints a rainbow towards the ceiling. And then releasing back down for that easy twist. Slow and controlled in this easy twist, starting to bring all the weight onto this left side, finding Vashisthasana, side plank. Option to drop this bottom knee to modify. Or maybe you up level here by lifting that top leg high to the sky. Wherever you are, can you push the earth away from you with this left palm? Can you send the right hip a little bit higher? We're holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back down, right palm comes down to the earth. Maybe that right foot stays lifted for a one-legged chaturanga if that's in your practice. Upward facing dog, arc the chest through. Exhale, downward facing dog. Taking this moment of stillness in your downward facing dog to come back to that intention. Come back to your breath. Using your breath as a tool to slow the heart rate down. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs. Exhale, bring both feet together for that zip up dog. Feel the navel towards the spine, send the gaze towards those toes. Take one inhale here. And then exhale, left heel comes high to the sky, or maybe you point the toe. Maybe you start to square off the hips by sending the left toes towards the earth. Bending at this left knee and then starting to draw those big circles. First moving in a clockwise motion, getting really juicy, lubricating this left hip. And then switching the direction to counterclockwise. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee to nose, round the spine, crunch it in. Maybe you give that knee a kiss. Three-legged dog. Left knee to left elbow, make a connection, hold, slide that left knee down towards the wrist. And then inhale, three-legged dog. Left knee to right elbow, cross-body hold. Inhale, three-legged dog. Left knee towards the nose, round the spine, crunch it in, plant the left foot in between the palms. Keeping the right palm grounded, opening up for that easy twist, gazes to the left fingertips here. Taking one full expansive breath through this left lung. And then exhale, goalposting in the arms here, maybe finding a slight heart opening. Releasing back down through center. Grounding down into this left foot, we're rising up for that twisted lunge. Take your time to create that balance on your mat. Maybe you open up your wings a little bit wider. We're here for one more breath. You got this, yogis. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs. Exhale, left palm comes behind you, right palm paints a rainbow. And then moving back into that easy twist, left palm is high. Slow and controlled, bringing all the weight onto the right side, finding Vashisthasana side plank. Option to drop down to this knee, or maybe you up level by lifting that top leg high to the sky. Wherever you are in your side plank, can you use this right palm? Push the earth away from you, sending the hips a little bit higher. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left palm comes down towards the earth. Maybe that left foot stays lifted for a one-legged chaturanga as you pull into your upward facing dog. Exhale, big toes come together to touch, sending the chest down towards the earth, finding that child's pose. In this child's pose, coming back to that intention, remembering that this pose is always here for you. I may not call for it in the practice, but this is your practice. Your time for yourself, your safe space to play. So if I ever cue anything that does not call to you, no worries. Honor your breath and honor your body. One more inhale here. Fill the belly, fill the lungs. And then exhale, coming back into that downward facing dog. In this inverted V-shaped downward facing dog, gaze is in between the palms. Slow and controlled, we tiptoe all the way to the top of our mat. Feeling that protraction in the shoulder blades as our toes get a little bit closer. And then releasing down, feet are about hips width distance apart. Bringing the toes slightly together to touch, slightly together inwards for that internal rotation. And then bending at the knee, rising up for Utkatasana chair pose. In this Utkatasana chair pose, take a look at your alignment. If your knees surpass those toes, can you send that butt back? Can you tuck the tailbone in, finding the natural curvature of your spine, and then letting the shoulders melt away from the ears? Taking a few steps to the top of our mat, in our chair pose. So taking your time here, moving slow and controlled to the top of your mat, bringing the palms into heart center and then finding that twist. Left elbow comes on the outside of the right knee, sending the gaze behind the right shoulder blade. Taking a look at both knees. If that left knee tries to jet out past the right, can you bring them in line with one another? Maybe in this twisted chair, you open up your wings. Maybe you start to retract and use this left elbow to push yourself a little bit further. Slow and controlled, bringing all the weight onto this right foot. We're slowly sending the left foot back, finding ourselves in a twisted lunge. Taking your time, fill your belly, fill your lungs. And then exhale, slow and controlled, releasing into crescent warrior. In this crescent warrior, both toes are pivoted towards the front of the room, creating a right angle with this right knee, and our back heel is stacked above the toes. Take one full inhale here. Exhale, release. Control the breath, control the mind, fill the belly up. Exhale, pivoting this back foot and then committing to the bend into this right knee, warrior 2. In this warrior 2, our hips are square towards the left. Our drishti or gaze is in between the right fingertips. Let the shoulder blades melt away from the ears. Bringing the palms to face the ceiling, coming in for a few bicep kisses. Inhale, palms come together to kiss, biceps and ears come together. And then release. Number 2, open up the palms, bring the biceps towards the ears, give the palms a kiss. And then release. Last one, yogis, you got this. Open up the palms, bring the biceps to kiss. And then down towards warrior 2. Reaching for something you desire, finding that peaceful warrior, letting the left palm melt down the left leg. And then straightening in both legs here, starting to Reach for something you desire with this right palm hinging at the hips and then coming down for that Trikonasana triangle pose. In this Trikonasana triangle pose, gazes to the left fingertips here. Trying not to dump all the weight into the right palm. Maybe you start to press against the shin to lift your chest a little bit higher. Taking one full inhale here, fill the belly, fill the lungs. And then exhale, reverse Trikonasana, straightening in both legs, reaching behind you. Cartwheeling the palms to frame this right foot. And then finding that pyramid pose. So from here, maybe you start to shorten your stance a bit. Your back foot's about at a 45-degree angle. Before you melt that heart down to the shin, can you inhale, take a halfway lift? And then exhale, start to melt the chest down towards the right shin. In this pyramid pose, there are a few options to up level. Maybe you start to lift the right toes off the earth. Maybe you start to move into flamingo pose. Maybe you find something new coming into a reverse prayer bind from this pose. Wherever you are, getting juicy in this right hamstring, taking one more full inhale here. And then exhale, releasing down, bringing the palms to frame the right foot. Grounding down into this right foot, sending the left heel high to the sky for standing split. In this standing split, can you start to point the left toes towards the earth? Can you start to lift that heel a little bit higher? Maybe you play with some handstand hops. Maybe you grab and hug the right calf. Wherever you are in this standing split, we're here for one more inhale. Fill the belly, fill the lungs. And then exhale, releasing this left foot towards the right, grabbing opposite elbows, ragdoll pose. In this ragdoll pose, letting the head hang heavy. Finding a decompression in your neck and spine, letting the chest melt down towards the thighs. Planting the palms towards the earth, take one halfway lift. And then exhale, moving through your vinyasa, high to low plank. Tuck those elbows in towards the ribs as you lower down. Upward facing dog, pull the chest through. Maybe you find a slight back bend here if it feels good. And then rolling over the toes, finding that downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths in this downward facing dog to reset. Taking this opportunity to come back to your breath and settle on to your mat. Inhale, both heels lift high to the sky. Exhale, sink them deep into your mat. Gaze is in between the palms, slow and controlled, tiptoeing your toes all the way to meet the top of your hands. And then from here, bringing the feet about hips-width distance apart, a slight inner rotation of those toes. Bending deep into the knees, coming all the way to the mat, and then rising up for that Utkatasana chair pose. In Utkatasana chair pose, take a look at your alignment. Send that butt back. If your knees surpass the toes, find the natural curvature of your spine. Gazes in between the palms. Letting the shoulder blades melt down the spine and taking a few steps till we make it to the top of our mat. Taking your time here, keeping that bend in both knees and then settling in. Sometimes you find strength in small micro movements. Bringing palms into heart center, taking one full inhale here, lengthen through the spine. And then exhale, finding that twist, sending the right elbow on the outside of the left knee or left thigh. Here, maybe you open up your wings if that feels good. Or maybe you stay taking a look at those knees, making sure the right knee doesn't surpass the left. Slow and controlled, bringing all the weight into this left foot and then sending the right foot back to find yourself in a twisted lunge. In this twisted lunge, taking one full breath here, fill the belly, fill the lungs. And then releasing, finding crescent warrior, taking your time and committing to the bend in this left knee. Creating a right angle with this left knee and then letting the left toes stack above one another. The right toes. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs. Exhale, release. Last breath here, control the breath, control the mind. You're stronger than you think. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs. Exhale, pivoting this back foot and then bending into this left knee, finding warrior two on the opposite side. In this warrior two, can you mount the shoulder blades away from the ears? Send the drishti or gaze to this left fingertip. Reaching for something you desire, finding peaceful warrior. And then coming back to warrior two. Opening up the palms here, coming in for a few bicep kisses. Palms come together to kiss biceps and ears. And then release down. Open up the palms, bring the biceps towards the ears, let the palms kiss. Release down. Last time, yogis, you got this. I know that left quad is talking to you. Bring the palms together to kiss. And then release down. Straightening in both legs, reaching for something you desire, and then coming down into Trikonasana, triangle pose. Hinging at the hips in Trikonasana, trying not to dump all the weight into this left palm. Maybe you press the left palm into the shin to lift your chest a little bit higher, sending your gaze to the right fingertips. Taking a moment to find that opening in both legs and send the gaze to the right fingertips. One more breath here. Inhale, fill the belly. Exhale, reverse Trikonasana, straightening in both legs, reaching behind you. And then cartwheeling the palms to frame this left foot. Maybe shortening your stance a bit to find pyramid pose. Before you melt the heart down to this left chin, can you find length through the spine, halfway lift, and then start to release the chest down towards this left shin for pyramid pose. A couple different options to play in this pyramid pose, of course. If this is enough for that left hamstring, stay here, get nice and groovy. If you're looking for a little bit more, maybe the left toes start to lift off the earth. Maybe you find your way into flamingo pose, or maybe you bring the palms behind you to create a little bind or reverse prayer. Wherever you are, can you take this inhale and send the chest a little bit closer towards the shin? One more breath here. Releasing the palms to frame this left foot, grounding down and then rising the right toes for that standing split. So in the standing split, can you start to send the right toes squaring off the hip towards the earth? And then maybe you start to bring the left palm to give the left calf a little hug, sending the chest a little bit closer. Maybe you play with a few handstand hops here, wherever you are, taking a few more deep breaths. Exploring in this pose, inviting change into your practice. One more inhale here, fill the belly, fill the lungs. And then exhale, start to release the right foot down towards the earth, grabbing opposite elbows, ragdoll pose. In this ragdoll pose, bending in both knees, inviting the chest to kiss the thighs. Letting the head hang heavy here, rocking back and forth, finding that decompression. Inhale, bringing the palms down towards the earth. Take a halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. And then exhale, plant the palms, choosing your vinyasa, tucking those elbows in towards the ribs, lowering down. Upward facing dog, pull the chest through. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Here we go, yogis. Both feet come together to touch at the back of your mat. Inhale, right leg lifts high to the sky, three-legged dog. Again, option to point the toe or option to find that slight internal rotation, squaring off the hips. We're bending scorpion tail, left heel towards right glute here. If that right armpit shoots up towards the ceiling, can you take this opportunity to square it off towards your mat? Starting to draw big circles with this right knee. First moving clockwise. And then switching the direction to counterclockwise. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee to nose, or right knee to nose, round the spine, crunch it in, give that knee a kiss. Three-legged dog. Right knee to right elbow, make a connection. If EPK's in your practice and you'd like to fly, you're more than welcome. Sliding the right knee down towards the wrist, and then sending the right knee towards the left wrist. Back all the way up, three-legged dog. Right knee to nose, round the spine, crunch it in, plant the right foot in between the palms. Pivoting this back foot to 45 degrees and then rising up for Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. In this Virabhadrasana 1, take a look at your alignment, creating that right angle with this right knee, squeezing those inner thighs together, activating in the glutes, sending the gaze in between the palms, letting the shoulder blades melt down towards the spine. Taking one full inhale here, fill the belly, fill the lungs. Exhale, releasing the palms to bind behind you, lifting through the chest. And then releasing down, finding humble warrior here. In this humble warrior, can you use these fists to square off this left hip by bringing it back? Making sure that both shoulders are on the inside of this left knee, or right knee. Take one more full inhale here, fill the belly, fill the lungs. And then exhale, releasing, coming all the way back up to warrior 1. One more inhale here, fill the belly, fill the lungs. Bringing the palms into heart center and then launching off this right leg, finding warrior 3 pose. So in this warrior 3, our balancing pose for the day. Seeing if you can keep the up dog polity in your chest, a slight bend to this right knee. Starting to point the left toes towards the earth to square off this hip. In this warrior 3, maybe you invite change into your practice by moving your hands or finding a different variation. Wherever you are, we're here for one more inhale. Fill the belly, fill the lungs. And then exhale, slow and controlled, landing into warrior 2, committing to the bend into this right knee. Reaching for something you desire, finding peaceful warrior, letting the left palm melt down towards the left thigh. And then straightening in both legs, hinging at the hips, finding your Trikonasana triangle pose. This time in your Trikonasana triangle pose, maybe you shorten your stance a bit. Bringing that imaginary beach ball from the sand and then rising up using those obliques for 1. Release the beach ball down towards the earth. Using those obliques, rise up for 2. Last one, yogis, you got this beach ball down towards the earth. Rising all the way up and then coming into Skandasana or skater's lunge at the back of your mat. Skandasana was our day 1 of Yogacella challenge here. So in this Skandasana, our right toes are pointed towards the ceiling. Maybe the left palm comes down towards the earth, and maybe you find that little bit of a twist here. If that full bind is in your practice and you'd like to reach for that opposite wrist, you're more than welcome. Lifting the chest and chin, finding length through the spine. And then releasing back down, finding that twist. Coming towards the back of your mat, right palm grounds, left palm lifts high to the sky. Easy twist. You got this, yogis. We've been here before, grounding down into this left foot. And then rising up for that twisted lunge. Opening up the palms, take one full inhale here. Exhale, left palm comes behind you, right palm paints a rainbow. And then cartwheeling the palms to frame the foot, sweeping this left foot back, maybe keeping it lifted for a one-legged chaturanga. As you tuck those elbows in towards the ribs, lower all the way down, upward facing dog, pull the chest through. Exhale, child's pose, big toes come together to touch. Sending the chest down towards the earth here. Taking this moment to come back to this intention. Taking this moment to come back to your breath. Why is it that you showed up on your mats today? What in our lives can you breathe through, find clarity through your breath and your body? Maybe it's that moment where you don't think you can hold the pose anymore and you tell yourself you can with that breath. We're stronger than we think, yogis. Can we take one more inhale here? Can we give this next side our all, bringing the palms in towards the body, and then finding that Ardha Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Remembering that yoga isn't about flexibility in our bodies all the time. Yoga is about being able to find that flexibility with your life. And the things that happen in your life that maybe you're not ready for, can you allow yourself to soften instead of fighting against it? Bringing the feet together to touch for that zip up dog. Send the navel towards the spine. Left foot lifts high to the sky, three-legged dog. Scorpion tailing left heel towards right glute. We're at the back of our mat. If our left armpit shoots up towards the ceiling, can you take this opportunity to square it up? Starting to draw those big circles here with that knee, really getting juicy into this hip. And then maybe switching the directions. Left foot lifts high to the sky, three-legged dog. Left knee to nose, round the spine, crunch it in. Maybe you give that knee a kiss. Three-legged dog. Left knee to left elbow, make a connection, sliding that knee down towards the wrist. If EPK is in your practice and you'd like to fly, you're more than welcome. Left knee towards right wrist just for a moment, and then finding that three-legged dog. Left knee to nose, round the spine, crunch it in, plant the left foot in between the palms. Pivoting the back foot to 45 degrees, and then rising up for Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. In this Warrior 1, we're creating a right angle with this left knee. Our back heel should be pivoted to 45 degrees, and our right heel, if there's a laser shooting out of it, it should directly bisect. Squeezing those inner thighs together, sending the gaze in between the palms, and then letting the shoulder blades melt down the spine. You're stronger than you think. Control the breath, control the mind. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs. Exhale, start to bring the palms into heart center here. Grounding down into this left foot, we're launching off, finding Warrior 3 pose at the back of our mat. Changing our perspective here, taking a slight bend into this left knee, and maybe start to swing or twist the right toes towards the earth to square off the hips. Finding that up dog quality in your chest, taking one full inhale here. And then exhale, maybe you release the palms, finding a different hand variation. Wherever you are, we're here for one more breath. You are strong, you got this, yogis. Fill the belly, fill the lungs. And then releasing the foot back, finding Warrior 2, cartwheeling the arms and committing to the bend into this left knee. Hips are squared towards the left side, drishti or gaze is towards the left fingertips. Letting the shoulders melt away from the ears, taking one full inhale here. Reaching for something you desire and then finding that peaceful warrior. Straightening both legs, starting to reach with this left palm, and then hinging at the hips, coming all the way down for that triangle pose. In this triangle pose, maybe you adjust your stance a little bit shorter, trying not to dump all the weight into this left palm or bringing that imaginary beach ball from the sand. Rising up through center for 1. Beach ball down to the sand for 2. Inhale, rise for 3. Last one, beach ball down towards the earth. And then inhale, using those obliques, rising all the way up. Finding Skandasana or skater's lunge, bending into this right knee. And then keeping the left toes facing the ceiling. So in this Skandasana, maybe you start to bring the right palm towards the earth. Maybe you start to send the gaze towards the left fingertips here. Slow and controlled, maybe you come for that bind, reaching for that wrist. Or maybe you find a strap to help you, lifting through the chest, take one full inhale here. Exhale, pivoting the toes to face the front, finding yourself in an easy twist at the top of your mat. Gazes to the right palm here. Left palm grounds, creating that right angle with this right knee. Our last twisted lunge. Can you inhale, rise all the way up, finding that twisted lunge. Opening up the chest here, spreading your wings, take one more full inhale here. Exhale, right palm comes behind you, left palm paints a rainbow. And then cartwheeling the palms to frame this right foot. Right foot slides all the way back, finding your vinyasa, maybe keeping it lifted for a one-legged chaturanga. As you tuck those elbows in towards the ribs, upward facing dog. Exhale, bringing both knees in towards the chest, finding that modified hero's pose. In this modified hero's pose, bringing the palms into heart center. Taking this opportunity to find gratitude for our capable beating hearts. Taking this opportunity to find our breath. using our breath as a tool to slow the heart rate down. Just like life in situations, can you take this pause and respond appropriately? Can you use your breath to calm the mind, calm the body? Inhale, root to rise, reach all the way up. Exhale, starting to find your child's pose, bringing the palms down towards the earth. Maybe bringing both toes together to touch, maybe sending the knees close this time, if you usually jet them out in opposite directions. Wherever you are in this child's pose, taking this opportunity to come back to your intention. And then inhale, starting to walk the palms close to the body, finding that tabletop pose, and then running through a few cat-cows in this tabletop pose. So wrists are directly underneath the shoulder blades, knees are underneath the hips. Dropping the belly low, sending the gaze high, opening up the chest. Exhale, ground down into the palms, around the spine, gaze to the navel. Inhale, coming back to neutral. Left palm traces the right palm, lifting all the way up. And then releasing this left palm, finding thread the needle, sending the left shoulders towards the earth. In this thread the needle, a few options here. If this is enough of a shoulder stretch, you can always stay. If you're looking for a little bit more, maybe the right palm comes behind you and creates a little clasp in between the thigh and hip. Maybe you start to lift the right leg high to the sky, pointing the toes towards the earth to square off the hips. Watching out for that poor plant baby. I left it in a bad spot. I keep hitting it. Left palm grounds down into the earth here. Take one more full breath wherever you are. Maybe you reach behind you to grab that foot. And then when you're ready, slow and controlled, right foot comes down towards the earth. Right palm comes down in front of the face, finding that counter stretch. Left palm lifts, open up the chest. Exhale, finding that goalpost in the arms, maybe opening the chest a little bit higher. And then releasing back through center. Palms come down to meet the right. One cat-cow just to reset. Drop the belly low, open up the chest, send the gaze high. Exhale, round the spine, gazes to the navel, ground down into those palms. Coming back to neutral, right palm traces the left, opening up here, finding the opening in your chest. And then releasing down, right palm comes down towards the earth, right shoulder blade comes to the mat as well. If this is enough of a shoulder stretch for you, you can always stay. If you're looking for a little bit more, maybe the left palm starts to create a little bind here in the nook between the thigh and hip. If that feels good, maybe you start to lift the left toes off the earth, watching for your plant baby, sending the heel high and the toes down towards your mat to square off that hip. Grounding down into the top portion of this right palm. We're here for one more breath. Maybe you find that bind if that's in your practice. And maybe you fall out of this pose. If you struggle and move and groove, no worries. You're not so far from the ground, so take that opportunity to play with balance. Left foot comes down towards the earth. Left palm comes in front of the space, moving in for that counter stretch. And then exhale, goalposting in the arms, finding the opening in the chest. Releasing back down. One cat-cow for good measure. Drop the belly low, open up the chest, send the gaze high. And then exhale, ground down into the palms, round the spine, gazes to the navel. Coming all the way down to the glutes. And then moving here into our Dandasana, stack pose. In this pose here, dorsiflexing those fins towards the face. Your feet should be so active that your heels should magically lift off the earth. Keeping that straight spine here, proud chest, sending the crown of your head high. Inhale, root to rise, reach all the way up, maybe palms come to kiss. And then exhale, start to bring the chest down towards the thighs, reaching past the feet. Paschimottanasana, forward fold. So in this Paschimottanasana, I want you to think chest to thigh versus nose to knee. So we're keeping an up dog quality in our chest, finding the integrity of our spine with that flat back. And then once we lengthen, find a little bit, then we start to sink down. So if that looks like this today and your knees are bent and you're trying to touch your toes, that's totally okay. Whatever feels good in your body here, but keep that length in your spine. Find that flat back. One more breath here. Inhale, fill the belly, fill the lungs. Exhale, release back down, walking the palms for Dandasana. Palms come out in front of us, creating that imaginary beach ball. And then slow and controlled, we're coming all the way down onto our mats. So taking your time to move vertebrae by vertebrae, maybe your heels start to slide back. Remembering to smile, remembering to breathe. If it starts to get sticky and tough, can you challenge yourself and stay here for a little bit longer? Slow and controlled, starting to move down. Inviting those shakes into your practice, that means you're getting stronger. You got this, yogis. Where it starts to get sticky, can you hang on a little bit longer? And then finally, releasing both shoulders against the earth, maybe shimmying yourself back onto your mat. And then setting up for a bridge pose. So bringing the heels in towards the glutes. Bringing the palms to slightly graze the tips of your heels for proper alignment. Both toes are facing the front of your mat, grounding down into both feet. Can you rise the hips high, send the knees forward, holding in this bridge pose? So in this bridge pose, usually you'd like to disengage those glutes and push down through the feet. But this time I want you to squeeze a penny as if you're trying to squeeze a penny in between those glutes. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. We're holding here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Can you squeeze that penny in between your glutes a little bit tighter? 3, 2, 1. Releasing down, windshield wiping the knees from side to side. And then setting up for another back bend of your choice. So 2 more back bends of your choice, actually. If bridge pose is in your practice and you'd like to continue to play with that, you're more than welcome. If you're with me, I'm going to walk us through wheel pose. Bringing the feet towards the front of your mat. Bringing the palms on the outside of the shoulders here, and the fingertips are facing the top of your mat. So first, in this wheel pose, if this feels good and this is where you are, you can always stay. If you're ready for a little bit more, grounding down both feet into the earth, pushing the palms as if you're pushing into the palm for that lifted tabletop. Can you push the earth away from you and send the top of your head to slightly touch the top of your mat? If that feels good and you're ready for more, can you take one full inhale here? And then exhale, push the earth away from you with those palms, sending the gaze in between the fingers. If this feels good, maybe you start to walk the palms a little bit closer towards the feet. Maybe wherever you are in your wheel pose, you start to press the earth away from you and find a little bit of length in your spine. So in this wheel pose, pressing the earth away from you, sending your chest a little bit higher, finding length through the spine, and then releasing down wherever it feels good. Coming back right where you came from, maybe the top of the head comes down to the earth, and then you start to release all the way down. Bringing both knees into the chest, giving yourself a squeeze, and then letting the left foot drop down towards the earth as the right knee comes in towards the chest. Switching the knees, bringing the left knee in towards the chest, letting the right foot drop down. And then inhale, both feet come high to the sky, creating that L shape. We're going to take pigeon on our backs today. So bringing the right foot to cross over the left, finding that figure 4. Maybe you reach underneath this left thigh, pressing this left knee in towards the face, simultaneously pushing the right thigh away from you. Can you dorsiflex in both fins, staying super active in both feet? In this pigeon pose, maybe that Right knee comes a little bit closer, and maybe you use this right elbow to push it away from you. Can you start to send this left foot close to the earth, finding your low back to hit the earth? One more inhale here. Fill the belly, fill the lungs. Exhale, release. Setting up for pigeon on the opposite side. Left foot comes in front of the right. Grabbing underneath the right thigh, bending at the right knee, and then starting to send the right knee close to the face. Dorsiflexing, staying super active in both feet. Can you use this left elbow to push the left thigh away from you? Can you maybe start to send the right foot closer towards the earth to allow that lower back to melt towards your mat? Wherever you are in this pigeon on your back, take one more full breath here. Exhale, release. We hold a lot of emotion in our hips. What can you let go here? One more breath. Inhale, both feet come high to the sky. Maybe you shake those feet out. And then finding our inversion of choice. So maybe that inversion is Shirshasana headstand, or maybe it's simply legs up the wall or shoulder stand. Maybe you just bring the feet high and just let all the blood flow down towards those hips. Whatever inversion that you've chosen, can you take 5 full breaths? Maybe the palms come down towards the mat to find more of a grounding practice. Maybe you let them lift towards the ceiling for a little bit of energy. If you're in this lifted legs up the wall, maybe you start to move into your final pose or happy baby. If you're still in that inversion, take your time. Just remember to find that counter stretch when you're finished. So Shirshasana headstand, find that child's pose. And then whenever you're ready, releasing everything from your body. Moving any blocks, any water bottles out of the way. And seeing if you can let yourself melt down towards your mat. This is what we worked for. This moment of bliss. Can you ignore all the distractions around you and bring your awareness to your breath and your body? Taking a full body scan, softening in the crown of your head. Releasing the space between the brows. And crinkling the nose. Softening the lips. Releasing in the neck. In the shoulders. In the palms. And in the chest. Softening in the belly, the hips, the thighs. Unbuckling the knees. Relaxing in the shins. Releasing in the calves, into the toes. How can we find clarity in this time of chaos? How can we choose to soften in this wave, maybe change our perspective a bit? And maybe we're not ready for that change, but being kind to the people around us who are. Being kind and understanding and compassionate through what everyone's going through. Starting to bring awareness to our fingers, wiggling them. And then inviting life back into our toes by giving those a little bit of a wiggle. Bringing both knees into the chest, giving yourself a squeeze, thanking yourself for showing up on your mats today for self-love and self-care. And then choosing either the right side or the left side to fall onto a fetal position using your bicep as a pillow. This pose represents rebirth, knowing that every single time we step off our mats is an opportunity for us to begin again. Planting both palms into the earth and then rising up to a seated position facing any which way you desire. Palms gather all this energy we've created as a community, and then down to heart center. Remembering that gratitude helps us fall in love with the life that we already have. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through your afternoon practice today. The perfectly imperfect student in me bows, honors, and respects the teachers in all of you. Namaste.